You know, if Trey Lance was to my left, if he were in this studio, Alan, again, I keep going to Bonte because he was with me in line. We were disappointed with what we saw from Trey.
And
we'll
so
leave
was
that there.
I.
But am I too fixated on what happened in Vegas and not getting ready or geared up for this Saturday at home against Denver? Because, again, I'm going the O word. It's another opportunity for Trey. If we take everybody at their word and decisions have not already been made, Alan Stiles, do you think Saturday, a big game for Trey, means what? The third string, you still think number 2 is an option for him? I'm asking you because I don't know. Now, again, forget all the people that I read on social media. I'm just sharing with you guys what's in my heart, and I believe he's playing now for a spot on the 53-man roster, so I'm hoping he puts his best foot forward. You say what to that?
Well, it's going to be different because, as far as we know, Darnold is going to start, I believe, and then Trey's going to come in.
But you'll get your time, though.
But you're going to get your time. And then it becomes a question of, well, was Darnold seeing the second string and Trey was seeing the third or fourth? So it's going to answer some questions, but even if Trey balls out, there's going to be those flip comparisons. So I don't really know what it's going to solve, Goo. All I know is he got to look better than he did in Vegas. I don't know how, but he has to look better than he did in Vegas. And to that point, we do have some sound here from the 33rd Team podcast, and that is from Joe Bannon, who is on the podcast with Ari Meroff, and he's talking about basically...
So Joe Bannon, huh?
Yeah.
Not Bruce Banner.
And basically he's talking
Banner.
about Trey's future in SF, so I'm going to double-check with Padone. We're good to go there. But essentially, and we are good to go. Let's hear what he had to say.
Yeah, so my answer is affected a lot by the fact that I worked with Kyle Shanahan. And he's obviously a really good coach. I worked with some really good offensive coordinators. He is as smart, if not smarter than any of them. But he's a very emotional guy, and he tends to be a fairly short-term thinker. And once you get in his doghouse, it's really hard to get out. But knowing the way Kyle is wired, it's really hard for me to picture how they could ever just get back into a really good, positive place supporting each other. So that leaves me with kind of a simplistic that if they could find another place and give Trey a chance to showcase what at least I thought he could be in the draft, and let Kyle make his bet on the other guys he hasn't watched on, because it's just very hard. Once he gets down on a player, it's just very hard to get him back into a place where he's really objective about it, and that's not going to be good for any player.
So that's Joe Bannon, 20-year NFL
he sounded
president.
Like the Emperor from Star Wars. That's wow.
20-year NFL president and CEO.
Make you powerful.
with the Eagles and the Browns. And he has a relationship with Kyle Shanahan. And look, we've seen this with Kyle Shanahan before. Brandon Ayuk was in the doghouse. He was in the doghouse, but he's a wide receiver. There were things going on with Debo, and Brandon Ayuk ultimately was able to get out of the doghouse. QB is a different story. So to answer your question, Goo, it doesn't matter who Trey is facing. He's got to ball out. He's got to find a way to look much better, and since the numbers don't matter as much, you have to look the part. That's what I've always heard, Goo. In back in my playing days, right, when it comes to the scouts and things like that, a lot of times it's not what you actually do. You can get a hit, but if it's some dinker up the middle,
we know,
right?
Okay.
A scout's not going to bet, wow, this guy went 5 for 5. All things aren't created equal. You have to look the part. They said, hey, Alan, you in center field, you got to be smooth out there.
Is that what you played?
I'm gonna keep it 1,000. I got banged to left. But
Nothing
I was in
with
center.
that. Ricky Henderson.
I was in center for a bit. Yeah. And what they would say, you need to look like Luis. My comp, not my comp, but you need to look like Luis Matos.
Okay.
He looks like he's under control all the. He glides
smooth,
out there.
No doubt about it.
It has to look easy. And the thing is, for whether it's a QB school or whatever, things did not look easy for Trey Lance. They just didn't look easy for him. So that's number one. You have to look comfortable, because if you don't look comfortable in the second half of a preseason game with some guy with a decent amount of guys who might not be on the roster, then whether you were on the Trey train leaving the station or not, nobody can cape for you at that point. At that point, it's just, hey, man, we don't know what to tell you. Because I'm still saying, and we'll get into this Kurt Warner sound after the break, that he's rusty. He was coming back. And you can call him excuses if you want. An excuse doesn't mean that it's not true. It's just an excuse because it's what happened. So this is it. This is it for Trey in terms of, I don't even know about the QB2 conversation. You have to look comfortable.
Yeah.
You have to look comfortable.
He mentioned, the Emperor did, that Trey, a doghouse. Do you believe right now, as we talk on this lovely Thursday, do you believe Trey is in a doghouse?
Doghouse is different for a QB because there's only one spot, right? When Brandon Ayuk is in the doghouse.
But now we're talking about the roster. Now we're talking about.
That's not a doghouse.
Now
But
I think a couple weeks ago, people with Guru, you need crazy pills if you're talking about Trey remaining on this 53. But Allen, I feel like, again, no sources. I feel like that's in play.
It's the conversation happening. But what's weird to me about that conversation happening, as we're up against the break here, what's weird about that conversation happening is because Brandon Allen hasn't been taking reps. So I'm not really sure what that even means, right? I mean, we're talking about cutting Trey, but Brandon Allen's not getting reps? How does that happen?
Right.
That's what's weird to me.
Well, to me, it makes me feel good about Trey remaining the third string when I saw that stat.
Exactly.
I took that as, okay, maybe his days are numbered.
Well, and if his days are numbered, then at the end of the day, you don't have Trey is still gonna be holding on. Trey's still gonna be hanging out, but ultimately, okay. Well, I'm just trying to figure out. Where you're at with all this.
Well, right next to you.
No, you're not.
Well, with Trey.
Yeah.
Man, Allen, I feel like it wasn't his fault. Mm-hmm. I honestly can look and talk to you people and say, oh, my God, to you people, and say, I don't believe Kyle was trying to get him hurt, but I believe he's wasted an opportunity. And now the opportunity was you were the starter last year. Maybe you would have got pulled and benched and we would have more clarity. But now Brock Purdy's emergence and the fact that I don't feel like you've been doing your due diligence or you've improved on your quarterback mannerisms, I feel like you've allowed yourself now, especially with Saturday's performance, good or bad, I choose bad.
Right.
Now it's in play that it may not pop for you here.